This is Story Recapped. Today I'm going to explain a comedy and sci-fi film called Tammy and the T-Rex. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. High school student Tammy practices cheerleading routines when her boyfriend Michael walks in. After practice, Tammy greets him with a kiss and Michael walks her to her next class. Outside, the two bump into Byron, Tammy's best friend, so she introduces them to each other. After he leaves, Tammy returns Michael's gift to her, a yellow rose with a gold bracelet dangling from the leaves. She tells him she can't accept it, worried that he'd get hurt. Michael insists he's not afraid, but Tammy still gives the rose back to him. Michael bites the rose petals to diffuse the tension, making Tammy laugh. Just then, Tammy's ex-boyfriend Billy and his gang arrive. Tammy tells Michael to leave, afraid that Billy will hurt him, but Michael refuses to run away. Billy aggressively accuses Michael of stealing Tammy, and the two get into a fight. Byron finds his way to the fight and watches the two throw each other around. Billy plays dirty and grabs Michael's balls, making him scream. Michael does the same and the two scream in pain together. Two police officers arrive and break up the fight. Billy curls up in pain while Michael reveals he had his football cap on. The officers drag Billy to their car as the school has a restraining order against him, all while he screams threats at Michael. Michael looks at Tammy, but she runs away in tears. He tries to run after her but stops. He wonders to Byron why Tammy even dated Billy. Byron explains that it was a stupid mistake and assures Michael not to give up because true love never fails. Elsewhere, scientist Dr. Wackenstein and his assistant Helga walk into a warehouse where a large animatronic T-Rex is housed. Wackenstein instructs his technician Bobby to control the robot's movements from his computer. Bobby complies and the doctor stares in awe at the dinosaur's movement and strength. He says he will give it life beyond what a computer is capable of. At home, Michael longingly stares at the bracelet Tammy returned when she calls him. Tammy tearfully apologizes for running away, then invites him over. He hurriedly leaves and arrives at Tammy's place shortly after. Tammy tells him to climb up the trellis to her room, but Billy's friends, Wendy and Michelle, spot him and decide to call Billy. In her room, Michael clumsily trips on Tammy's lamp despite them trying to stay quiet. Her father calls her phone to check on her, so Tammy lies about the noise. Michael returns the bracelet to Tammy, who accepts it this time. They make out on her bed, confessing their love to each other. Downstairs, Billy's gang shows up and forces their way inside. Michael and Tammy hear them and panic. She locks her door and tells Michael to leave. Michael doesn't want to, but soon agrees. Just then, Billy breaks through her door and sees Michael's jacket. He looks out the window and spots Michael, so he orders everyone to get in their cars, reminding Tammy that she's his before leaving. Michael runs away, but the gang chases after him. Billy hits his knees with a baseball bat, slowing him down. Cornered, Michael is beaten up by the gang. Michael tells Billy that Tammy's already done with him, which only angers Billy further, so they put Michael in the trunk. Wendy warns Michelle not to tell anyone about this, but Michelle looks worried of what the guys plan to do. The gang breaks into the local wild animal park. Billy spots a lion in the distance, so they drag Michael out and drive away. Michael hears the sound of wild animals nearby, putting him on high alert. He sees a lion approaching, so he runs away and climbs a tree, but a black panther waits on the branches. Michael falls to the ground where the lion jumps and bites him. Michael struggles to break free, but the lion bites harder. Soon, a park ranger arrives and shoots the lion down. The next day, Tammy and Byron rush to the hospital to visit a comatose Michael in the ICU, where his drunk uncle, Bob, is looking after him. Tammy cries, blaming herself for what happened to him. Billy and Weasel arrive to threaten her again, but Tammy stands up to them and tells Billy to leave them alone. Billy slaps her, but Tammy kicks him, making them leave. At the lobby, Wackenstein and Helga look for Dr. Rosenthal. Knowing Wackenstein as a renowned neurosurgeon, Rosenthal hands over Michael's case to him. He tells the doctor that Michael has been unconscious for 15 hours with no brain injury. Rosenthal then inquires about Wackenstein's latest experiment, and the doctor tells him he's on the brink of a breakthrough. Wackenstein introduces himself and Helga to Tammy, saying he is there to help. The doctor asks Tammy about Michael and is happy to hear he has no living relatives except his uncle. While the doctor distracts Tammy, Helga clips the heart monitor's wire, causing it to flatline. Wackenstein and Helga pretend to resuscitate Michael but soon declare him dead, causing Tammy and Byron to faint. Helga transfers Michael to a gurney and wheels him out of the hospital, where Bobby and Wackenstein are waiting. Michael starts to wake up, so Bobby injects him with anesthesia. This only causes Michael to become chatty and delirious, so Helga punches him to sleep. They arrive at the warehouse where Carl, Wackenstein's henchman, lifts Michael to the makeshift operating table. The doctor enthuses that Michael's sacrifice will be for the good of mankind. He cuts through Michael's forehead and prepares to open his cranium, but Michael wakes up, so Helga punches him again. Bobby comments they will traumatize his brain from all the punching, but the doctor claims that brains are resilient and can heal. Wackenstein then hacks across Michael's skull and gingerly opens it. He begins poking at the brain, showing that every node controls a different part of the body. Bobby is skeptical that it'll be better than his computer, but the doctor says it'll be better as it won't need Bobby to operate it. Wackenstein retrieves Michael's brain and hooks up the dinosaur's synthesized nerves into it, slowly giving the robot movement and sight. After implanting the brain, he tells Bobby and Carl to clean up and take Michael's body back to the morgue. He and Helga leave for the night, saying he will perform the final lobotomy in the morning. Bobby and Carl order pizza for dinner. The delivery man arrives at the warehouse and only sees the T-Rex in the room. Michael starts to regain consciousness and moves the T-Rex's head, seeing the man approach him. He taps on the man's shoulder and tries to speak, only to let out a mighty roar instead. The delivery man drops the pizza box in horror and runs out. Bobby and Carl hear the roar and check. They find the pizza box on the floor and begin to eat. After eating, Carl prepares the car while Bobby fixes Michael's body. Michael watches Bobby staple his forehead closed, not fully understanding what's happening. Still skeptical, Bobby taunts the dinosaur and says there's no way it can be better than his computer. Michael then bites Bobby's head off, decapitating him. Michael approaches his body and touches his face, only to see that his hands are that of a reptile. He grabs a nearby mirror and sees his dinosaur face, making him roar in agony. Carl returns and sees the T-Rex moving, thinking Bobby is controlling it. Carl backs away, asking it to stop, but Michael advances on him and kicks him on the chest, sending him flying out of the warehouse. Michael then steps on Carl, crushing him dead. A stunned old lady on the payphone relays the events to the other line before running away, screaming. Michael picks up the receiver and dials Tammy's number but gets no answer. At the party, Michelle spots a mournful Tammy across the room. Feeling guilty, she apologizes to Tammy for what happened, saying it was a terrible accident. However, Tammy knows it wasn't an accident. Byron arrives with Tammy's drink and encourages her that time will heal her and she'll learn to love again. Billy and his gang arrive, so Tammy gets up to leave. Billy tries to stop her, but Tammy tells him she never wants to see him again and walks away. Billy looks perplexed but quickly gives in when Wendy asks him to dance. The ground shakes as Michael gets closer to the party, thinking Tammy must be there. Michael watches the party from behind the trees and spots Billy and Wendy. Billy drags Wendy away for some alone time, but Weasel tries to go with them. Billy tells him to get a clue, so Weasel leaves them. He urinates on Michael's leg, thinking it's just a statue. The dinosaur swipes down on Weasel's torso, spilling his guts and killing him. Next, Michael approaches the car where Billy and Wendy are being loudly intimate. Wendy's screams of pleasure turn into horror when she spots the T-Rex hovering above them. Billy doesn't notice until Michael bites Wendy's leg and lifts her off the car. She screams for Billy's help, but he runs away. He yells what he saw to everyone at the party, screaming at them to call the police. The partygoers see Michael approaching, so they panic and flee. Billy goes to his gang and tells everyone to leave, but Michael finds him and bites his head off. Michael trips the running people down the stairs, crushing them as he steps on them. Byron watches from the ground, thinking he's next. To his surprise, Michael helps him up and even brushes dust off his shoulders. Byron thanks him and flees. Michael spots two of the other gang members hiding underneath a car. He climbs on top of the car and crushes the guys underneath. Just then, the police arrive and are horrified at the state of the dead bodies. Byron's father, Sheriff Black, asks his deputies to call an ambulance. They hear sounds from underneath a table and push it upright to see two traumatized students. They recount seeing a dinosaur, but the sheriff doesn't believe them. Byron arrives and confirms their story. The sheriff asks if it was someone in a costume, but Byron clarifies it was a real one. The sheriff thinks they're taking illegal substances at the party and asks his deputy to test everyone at the precinct. The following day, Helga finds Carl flattened on the pavement. Wackenstein thinks this development is amazing as he has created a creature with brains and feelings capable of thinking. The doctor thinks their capitalistic investors will love this, so he tells Helga they need to find Tammy to locate the dinosaur, sure that Michael will go to her. At home, Tammy's putting on her makeup when her dresser begins to shake. She looks behind to find Michael's dinosaur head at her window, making her scream and faint. Moments later, her parents head upstairs and find Tammy's room empty as if she left out the window. At a nearby barn, Michael caresses Tammy's hair while she lays unconscious. This wakes Tammy up in fright. Michael shows her a yellow rose and bites the flower, hoping it will make Tammy realize it's him. When that doesn't work, he points at the bracelet he gave her and points to himself. The two play a game of charade until Tammy finally guesses that Michael's brain is in the T-Rex. When she realizes the truth, Tammy can't help but cry and hug the dinosaur. Back at her house, the sheriff measures the window's height from the ground and tells Tammy's parents it might be the same dinosaur, which only confuses them. Byron arrives just in time for Tammy to return from the backyard. Everyone rushes to see her, asking where she's been, but she makes up a lie that no one believes. Across the street, Wackenstein and Helga confirm that Michael had gone to see Tammy. Wackenstein tells her to get their truck ready so they can catch him. The sheriff pulls Byron aside and tells him not to get involved. Byron is hurt but tells him he's just there as Tammy's friend. He goes to Tammy, who tells him that Michael is alive but his brain is inside a dinosaur. Byron realizes that it's why the dinosaur was nice to him last night. Tammy tells Byron she plans to get Michael's body back during the funeral. At the funeral, Tammy holds a yellow rose next to Byron while Michael watches from a distance. Bob takes the podium and delivers a sincere eulogy about how much he will miss his nephew, moving everyone to tears, even Michael. Across the car park, Wackenstein tells Helga that his discovery will end death, giving people immortality by implanting their brains into robots, be it humans or pets. After ensuring that everyone has gone home, Michael emerges from his hiding place and they proceed with their plan. Tammy climbs down the hole and lifts the casket, only to see that Michael's body has begun to decompose. Disgusted, the three of them shriek in horror as Byron lifts Tammy out of the hole. Seeing their chance, Wackenstein grabs Tammy while Helga pushes Byron down the hole. Tammy elbows the doctor and pushes him into the casket. She also tosses Helga down with Byron's help before lifting Byron out. The doctor tries to claw his way back up, but Byron steps on his hands, forcing him down. Tammy tells Byron they shouldn't hurt the doctor because they need him to transplant Michael's brain back to a body. They load Michael on the back of the truck, and Byron drives them to the local morgue with Wackenstein and Helga's mouths taped shut and hands tied. At the morgue, Tammy and Byron look through the dead people for a suitable body. When they find someone passable, Byron thinks Michael should be the one to decide which body he gets, so they drag the corpse to the window and show him. Michael thinks for a moment but gives a thumbs down, so Tammy and Byron bring more corpses for him to evaluate, but he disapproves of them all. Just then, they hear police sirens approaching, so they rush back to the truck. Wackenstein and Helga escape and report that their dinosaur was stolen just as Byron drives the truck away. The deputies get back in their car and chase after it. They catch up to the truck in no time, yelling at Byron to return the dinosaur. Byron yells back that the dinosaur is his friend. The deputies contact his father over the radio and tell him his son stole a dinosaur. Byron takes a sharp turn to lose the police, going off-road into the vineyards. The sheriff joins the car chase as the road becomes narrower. Byron and Tammy reach the river with nowhere left to run. Tammy rushes outside and sees that Michael has been knocked off. Byron offers to stall the police so they can run. Byron meets his father and tells him that Michael's brain is in the dinosaur, but the sheriff doesn't listen and asks his deputies to handcuff his son. He eventually reaches the river and stares as Tammy rides on Michael. The next day, Byron cycles to the barn, not knowing that the deputies are following him. They call his father to tell him where the dinosaur and Tammy are. Inside the barn, he hands Tammy food and drinks, knowing she hasn't eaten yet. Just then, they hear police cars approaching. Outside, police step out with their guns ready as the sheriff orders them to surrender. Thinking fast, Byron ties Tammy's undergarments to a stick as a sign of peace. He tries to reason with his father, but he orders his deputies to grab them. Tammy tries to run back inside but is caught by a deputy. Hearing Tammy's screams, Michael steps outside. Just then, Wackenstein and Helga arrive, insisting that the mechanical dinosaur is theirs. The sheriff asks if he can control it, and the doctor lies that he can. Ignoring Tammy and Byron's protest, the sheriff allows Wackenstein and Helga to approach the dinosaur and tranquilize it. The two approach the barn cautiously, looking for Michael. Once inside, Michael emerges and bites the guts off Wackenstein's body. Michael spits the guts on Helga, who runs outside screaming. The police open fire, shooting at Michael while Tammy cries and screams for them to stop. They eventually bring the dinosaur down as Tammy runs to him, crying at losing Michael again. After some time passes, Tammy arrives home, excited. She kisses her parents and heads upstairs. She turns her computer on in her room and uncaps a camera mounted on the wall. She has Michael's brain hooked up to her computer, allowing them to communicate. She tells him she found a suitable body for him from a skiing accident nearby. She then coyly asks if he wants the usual, to which Michael eagerly says yes, so Tammy changes into a revealing attire. She proceeds to perform a dance for her boyfriend until Michael's brain emits sparks as he finishes.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.